All right, what is up, everybody? My name is Andrew Messia. This is the Medellin Buzz. This is episode number 15 of these live episodes that I've been doing. If you're listening on podcast, this is also the 15th episode of the podcast. For those of you guys that watch the lives, I am also on Spotify or anywhere that you get your podcasts. If you're at the gym or in the car and you don't want to watch the video and you just want to listen, you can do that on podcast as well. I upload these all onto those platforms. So yeah, today has been a good day. It is December 30th. It's 6:01 p.m. It is Saturday here in Medellin, Colombia. It was a great day until it wasn't a great day. It got overcast and now it's like rainy. But it's okay. It's Medellin. That's the way it is here. It's great weather and then it starts raining. But life is good. Life is great. Today's topic, we're going to be talking about 2024 safety tips for men and some women. I say men because the majority of the people that are getting killed in Medellin and getting in trouble in Medellin are men. And when I say the majority, I mean 100% of the people, of the foreigners, tourists that were killed in 2024 were men. So I don't think women need a lesson in safety in Medellin. It's mostly men. And I hope that this video or this live episode will help people not get killed. And hopefully it helps people, at the very least, to not be able to deter their safety situation, or I guess a theft, right? To deter a theft or deter a bad situation in Medellin, because unfortunately the crime rate has gone up in Medellin, and also the murders of foreigners that are tourists have gone up. It's a specific type of person that's getting killed out here. Nonetheless, somebody getting murdered is terrible, and there has to be a solution. Although I can't give you the solution, I can't give the city the solution or the country the solution, I can at least make people aware of the problem and give some tips on how to avoid getting into trouble out here, especially for some of these tourists that are coming out here that are maybe new to Colombia or even just traveling as a whole. So we're going to go over some of those safety tips. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 different tips today that we're going to go over. And some of them are pretty simple and you may have heard of them. Some of them are not simple and you might have not heard of them. And also I'll be taking your tips as well. If you're watching live, I'll be replying to your tips, etc. Hey, what's up, Eric? Thank you for the $4.99. Thank you. Appreciate the intel. Bring back the Colombia podcast. Feliz Año Nuevo. Yeah, I don't know if the Colombia podcast will ever come back, but for now we have the Medellin Buzz, I guess, podcast. ABX girl, how you doing? Medellin, hope you're having a great day. Zombie, what's good, Zombie? Hope you're having a great day. Hope everyone's having a good day, and I hope it is a happy new year tomorrow. Tomorrow, New Year's Eve. Now that I'm a family man, I'll probably be hanging out with the family and with my girlfriend's family. And they're not very much like partiers, so I might have to be the one that brings the party. But I'm okay just chilling out this year. I don't really need to party. I've been focusing a lot this year on work, on all of the things that I've got going on. If you've been listening or watching, you know that I'm always up to something. I'm always busy. I'm always doing stuff. I'm passionate about the things that I do, so I'm always doing that. So no matter what, the 1st I'll be working. The January 1st I'll be working on something. I can guarantee you that. So let's get started with some of these tips well, first of all, let's talk about the stats. So in Medellin, the crime rate has gone up. It has gone up by about 20% from the year before. And that includes armed robberies. Armed robberies, whether it's with a knife or a gun, those have gone up, and I think they call those strong-armed robberies in English. So those have gone up for sure this year. What has gone down, though, are like heists. One of the things that I noticed in the stats were that the previous years, even before COVID started, heists were up in percentage, meaning heists like, for example, a business owner was going to was being tailed by someone that because they knew that he was going to go make a large deposit into the bank, or someone was buying something cash like a house or a business, and they were pulling out a bunch of cash. Someone at the bank would tip someone off, or someone within his company or his business, or even his own family at times, or her family. It mostly happened to male business owners, but someone would be tipped off, and then once they got out of the bank, or before they got to the bank and they had the bag of money, they would be tailed by guys on motorcycles, pulled over, and robbed of their cash. So that type of robbery has gone down significantly this year in Medellin. I think because people are just wiser. Well, not wiser. People fought back. So the reason that has gone down is because those people were getting killed. Like the guys that were trying to rob, these business owners and people that had the cash would have someone in the car that had a gun, and they would fight back and shoot them dead. Like no questions asked. And so obviously criminals saw the return on investment wasn't there for them. It wasn't worth it risking their life because these guys were getting killed. These robbers were getting killed in these heists. So now that has gone down, but what has gone up is these armed robberies, petty thefts, etc., because they know that those people aren't going to fight back. And that's one of the tips that I'm going to go over, is not to fight back. CBL Daddy, number one tip before arriving is to have two phones. The main phone always stays in Airbnb hotel. The other one with you when you're outside. Yeah, that's a good tip. I mean, I would do that if I were new to Medellin for sure. I'm not new to Medellin, so I carry my iPhone 14 Pro Max, whatever it's called, everywhere I go. Never been robbed. I've been here 14 years, never gotten a phone stolen. So there is a way, I mean, to go out and not get your phone stolen, but it also involves you not getting blackout drunk, stumbling out of a club, giving papaya to like every pickpocket in the world. But regardless, it is a good idea to have that burner phone if this is your first time down here. If you look gringo, if you act gringo, it's probably best to have that burner phone where it's like, okay, if someone holds me up or if someone pickpockets me, I'm okay with losing this phone, right? So there, I guess there is a way to avoid that. It's by doing the opposite of what I just said. You know, acting gringo, looking gringo, and getting blackout drunk, stumbling out of a club. You can avoid it. So those are kind of the stats right now, where crime rate's up about 20% on petty thefts and armed robberies. Heists are down in robberies. Kidnappings went up this year in percentage as well. And again, those kidnappings that have happened here, I mean, Colombia has had kidnappings for a long time. I mean, they've basically coined el secuestro, you know, back in the 80s, 90s, even in the 70s, maybe even centuries before. They've basically taught the world what it is to hold someone for ransom, and it pretty much went away for a little bit, but I mean, you would hear about it every now and then. But now it came back, and people holding people for ransom. Usually people will be let go once they get that ransom, but in some cases this year, I think a couple of them, the person was killed. So that is also something to be that causes alarm for the local government. I hope it causes alarm for the local government. I have no intel on that, but yeah, it's definitely something that's gone up. Thin Line Media, what's up? Number one tip is to not arrive, but if you did, number two tip is to try to survive. Wow, you make it sound like you're going to prison or something. That's literally the number one and two tips for prison. Number one tip in prison is not to go to prison. Number two is to try to survive. In Medellin, it's not that dramatic. Andy, what's up, Andy? Going for my fourth time in January, only take out my burner. I also carry an expired ID and debit card. An expired debit card. No, just kidding. I understand what you're saying. Squishy Plums, what's good, Squishy Plums? Hope you're having a great day. Happy New Year to everybody for tomorrow, New Year's Eve. Yeah, so the first tip that I have on my list, I made a list of about 16 different tips. Number one is to be aware of scams, stories, and beggars. scams, stories, and beggars. And all of them can be one person or they are various persons. So a lot of the times when you come down here and you hang out in the touristy areas like La 70, Calle 10, even La 33, where there are people that frequent restaurants, that frequent bars, that frequent cafes even during the day, maybe even coming out of a grocery store in these areas, you'll find people asking you for money. A lot of the times people will have a story attached to it. And a lot of these times, these people, this is their career, right? Begging is their career. And you don't want to fall victim to that. So what I always tell my friends, family, and students from the Medellin Masterclass is that if you really want to help the community, look for a charity or an organization that is already helping the community instead of you giving your hard-earned money to someone on the street that might be using it for something unscrupulous. Obviously, if it fulfills your heart, it doesn't really matter. That's usually my point. If it really fulfills your moral obligation and you're satisfied with giving someone on the street money or buying them lunch or buying them a bag of groceries, then by all means do that. But if you really, really want to make an impact, usually the best way is to work with an organization that is making an impact in a low-income neighborhood to deter people from having to beg on the street, to have to try to scam someone by making up a story or using an old and tired story year after year after year, because I've seen them. I've been here for 14 years, and I can tell you that there's about 20 different old ladies that carry around and different grandkids, because now some of the grandkids are old now and they can't really carrying them around. So they're holding hands with some other kid, or they're just by themselves now, with the same story, asking for money, and they've been doing it for the last 10 years plus. Same with the guy that just got deported. He's on the street. He just got here, and he doesn't have anything, and he speaks perfect English. That guy's a heroin addict. I know him. Another guy that has that same story, he's also a drug addict. I don't know if he's a heroin addict. I've only seen this other guy literally in downtown shooting up heroin. The same guy that speaks fluent English, but says that he just got deported. So there's these scams and these people that come up with these stories, and that's their career. So avoid doing this by contributing to a charity or an organization that's already working within the community with maybe kids or with families in the community to help them come up. Even if it's just building a roof, or even if it's teaching them how to code, like, for example, Recode Colombia, which is a great charity, a great organization. Help Colombia, which is our organization where we work with kids. We teach them English, etc. That's the type of help that really could go farther. I'm not saying that you shouldn't give money to people on the street. If you want to, by all means do that. But just know that some of these people, that's their career. What's up, Squishy Plum? Is hiring private armed security guards a good idea? I've seen it, like celebrities do it. For a normal person, I've never seen a normal person with a hired security guard. Usually, like, I've seen like some reggaeton stars that have come through, like at the bars that I go to, or like to a restaurant, they'll come through and they'll have an armed security guard. But I've never seen I've never seen like a regular person with an arm. I don't think it's necessary, to be honest. Andy says, do you happen to have a list of good charities to donate to? Yeah, helpcolombianow.com, Empower the Barrios, and Recode Colombia. Those three. Oh, Ángeles de Medellin also. Those are great. Those are four right there that are awesome. They've been around for ages, and they help the community a lot. A lot. Piedad, ¿cómo estás, Piedad? Scopolamine and insecurity is nothing new in Colombia, and it has existed. People, particularly tourists, just need to be extra careful, stop acting like clowns, be civil and good human. Yeah, I mean, I wish it were that easy, but some people just don't understand. They don't understand, and they think that this is Las Vegas. It is kind of like the Las Vegas of Colombia, but it's not Las Vegas. Thin Line Media, the last 2 days, it was interesting to follow the German guy, YouTuber, who was drugged and got his crypto worth of 15,000 stolen. Yeah, 15,000 is nothing. I know somebody that got $250,000 worth of crypto stolen from him over the course of 2 days while being drugged. Like he was drugged. They left, took his phone, came back, fed him more drugs, and he gave up his passwords to his crypto, accepted the transfer, everything. About $250,000. That's a shitload of money. Excuse my French, but that is a lot of freaking money. And the good thing is that he's a young guy and he had a lot more than that, so he'll be all right. But still, you just can't be an idiot, man. I mean, and it's hard. I guess it's a hard thing to say. You know, it's harsh to say, don't be an idiot. But with so much information now over the last 2 years, because this has been happening for 2 years now, where it's become more popular on social media, on YouTube channels, even in the news, where tourists are being targeted because they didn't know. Now, if you're a tourist into Colombia, you should know this. This should be common knowledge that if you're coming here for sex tourism, you are at risk of getting drugged and robbed. That, like, there's no, that's like, I could just drop the mic right there. The number one tip, don't come for sex tourism because you might get drugged, robbed, and maybe even killed, right? That's like number one thing, but some people just don't get it. It's unfortunate. Phil says definitely some people don't understand. Hey, from Alberta, Canada. Thanks for the information as always. No worries, Phil. Thank you. Hope everything's good in Alberta, Canada. I'm sure it's like a minus 100. All right, so that's the number one tip, is to look out for these scammers and people on the street that are trying to pull at your heartstrings. And this can also include the indigenous women and children that you see on the street on Calle 10 and in other parts of the city. It's very common that while you're walking, even on Ciclovia, on a Sunday, that you'll see the indigenous women dancing with their babies. This is borderline a scam, guys. I didn't know this until a few years ago, but someone explained to me, and then I realized, because I used to live in downtown, that all of them stay at hotels in Niquitao, downtown, and then a truck comes and picks them up. And then my friend also told me this. He said, when you go up Calle 10, try to remember the faces of the women and the children that you see. Go the next day, and I can guarantee you that there will be different women and children. It's never the same ones. They rotate. This is their business. Their tribe brings them here to make money for the tribe. Notice how there's never any men with them, because it's a patriarchal society, their society. So I was like, damn. I've given them so much of my change and money throughout the years, and this was like 6 years ago, 7 years ago, that someone pointed that out to me. And now I point it out to people that come down here. I'm like, look, try to remember the person that you gave that 2,000 peso bill, and when you come back tomorrow, try to look for that same person. I guarantee you won't see the same woman twice or the same child twice. And it never fails. That is basically their business. And I'm not saying don't give money to them, but just be aware that this is part of their tribe's business, is to bring women and children out here. And by you giving them money, you're basically justifying them to continue to do that, maybe even on a larger scale. You know, 6, 7 years ago, you would maybe see one on all of Calle 10. Now you see one on every corner. So it's a lucrative business. It is a lucrative business. Phil, nope, no snow here at all. It's been really mild. Oh, nice. -5. Oh, it's only -5. Dang. Piedad says, good tips and advice on the show. Great job. Thank you, Piedad. Hope you're having a great day. CA Calle 11 is quiet. Yeah, I mean, anywhere apart from that 4-block radius of El Poblado of Parque Lleras is pretty quiet. Which is safer, Manizales or Pereira? I don't know. I've never lived in either, but I know that Pereira is a bigger city. Manizales is smaller. Pereira is over 1 million people population. Manizales is about 500,000. So I would venture to say that Manizales is probably safer just on sheer number of people, of population. Piedad, correction, the insecurity, but scopolamine insecurity has always been an issue. Yeah, no worries. I understood what you said, Piedad. CBL Daddy is supposed to be a Colombian safety city. What? Manizales is supposed to be Colombia's safest city. Yeah, I guess safe is small, big city. Gio, what's up, Gio? Hello, everybody. Love the channel. Thank you, Gio. Hope you're having a great day. Thin Line Media, tons of snow here in Europe, though. Dang. Piedad, yeah, Los Angeles is nice and sunny. Yeah, my parents are in Southern California as well. Enrique says, I quit the idea of Medellin. Yeah, a lot of people in my 14 years of being here, not a lot. It's a very limited amount of people that have lived here like more than a year and then decided to leave forever. A couple of them are couples that they got married here, lived here for a few years, and now they're back either in Australia or the United States for work purposes. Most people come back, though, at least to visit. But yeah, so that's tip number one, is to be aware of these scams, these beggars, the people on the street. Not all of them are as genuine as you would like them to be. But I understand if it's, it fulfills your heart to give money or even food to the people on the street, especially the ones with kids. It's really heartbreaking and it's really hard to say no. But remember that by giving those people money, a lot of the time you are encouraging that action. And it's sad because some of those people don't have another way out of that, especially like, for example, the indigenous people, the indigenous women with the children. It's literally their tribe basically forces them to come out here and do that, sleep on the street, beg for money, and it's kind of a business for them. So it's sad, but at the same time, by giving them the money, it's like I said, 6-7 years ago, you'd see one in all of El Poblado. Now it's like at least 50 that you can spot on a weekend. Okay, so the next tip is something that we already talked about. If you're new to Medellin, and this is for someone that is not experienced, that hasn't been here a ton of times. If you're new to Medellin, you might want to consider having a secondary burner phone, a cheaper phone than your Galaxy S25 or wherever they're at right now, or your iPhone 15. Something that if you lose it, it won't hurt. It's because in Medellin, you might get pickpocketed, especially if you're a tourist and you look like a tourist. You might be pickpocketed on the street, in the metro, on public transportation, etc. You might not even feel it, and your phone is gone. Or you might just leave it somewhere. Medellin is not one of those places where you leave something at even a Starbucks or an expensive restaurant, and the chances are you're not going to see it again. There are exceptions. Excuse me, there are exceptions, but not all the time will you see that again. Keith Richards. Dang, we got Keith Richards from the Rolling Stones up in the house. I never give money, just food to beggars. Yeah, food, I always give my leftovers for sure. If I have leftovers, I know that I'm giving it up. Sky Luke, what's up? Hola, Andrew from Ontario, Canada. What's up, Ontario? Are you at -5 degrees like they are over there on the other side? Johnny, what's up, Johnny? Act accordingly. Know the zones you shouldn't be in. Be respectful and polite. Don't flaunt, and you'll be fine. Yeah. The problem is that a lot of people don't know that. So that's why it's important for me to be able to broadcast this, because a lot of people don't know what flaunting is. Like, for example, just being a gringo is flaunting, literally. Like, that is already giving papaya. So if you can reduce that a bit by watching and taking the tips that I give people, and reduce that amount of papaya that you're giving, or that amount of flaunting that you're doing unintentionally, you'll have a better stay here. And unfortunately, it comes down to that in Medellin. Medellin is not the United States, nor I don't think in our lifetime it'll ever be at a level of what the United States is at, but it will get better. And it will get safer, but you will always still have to make sure that you're not acting like a fool. Phil, don't give papaya. Don't know how to spell it. Papaya, you spelled it right. What's up, Andy? Limit speaking English in public. I speak English all the time in public, but yeah, like today, I was out in the street doing more street interviews. Next video, I guess one of the first videos of 2024 is going to be another street interview. I interviewed a couple of people today. Going to go back out on Tuesday, all in English. I'm trying to seek out English-speaking paisas, and then obviously the paisas that don't speak English will use a little translator, but it's been fun. But yeah, I speak English all the time. I mean, that could be giving papaya if you're alone, really. Like, try not to be alone if that's the case. Watch out for females, many working for men. Medellin, I would contest that to say that only the few that are out in the street or on Tinder are working for men. I would not go as far as saying that, okay, there's 4 million people in Medellin in the vicinity. Half of them are women. That means that 2 million women are working men. I don't think that's true. That would be unfair to all of the women that I know, which is basically every single woman that I know here that is paisa, that holds their own job, is either a single mother or a single woman that is helping support their family, works 1 or 2 jobs, that doesn't work men, and that goes about their life trying to advance their life. That would be very unfair to them. Now, a lot of the gringos and the people that are here as short timers, they come across that type of woman because they're here for a short time, so they want a quick hookup. So they find the people that are working men for quick hookups. I'm sorry if that was your experience, but there are ways around that, but it involves you being here more than just a month or 2. Keith Richards, respect all locals. Remember that you are a guest and a tourist. That's true. Winston, what's up, Winston? Hope you're having a good day. I actually forgot my iPhone at the Starbucks on Calle 10. I've been there. I love the Frappuccino, Mochaccino, pumpkin spice latte. I feel like a teenage girl. And when I came back a few days later, they had it. Whoa, let's go. It must have been like an iPhone 9. They said 3 Rappi drivers tried to come in and take it, but they couldn't unlock it. Oh, wow. Okay. Cyril is in a coffee farm. Really? If you watch any of the videos on YouTube of these areas, you can actually point out the working women. Yeah, I mean, listen, guys, if you walk up Calle 10 and you can't spot every single hooker, you need to get out more. Like, it's like unbelievably blatant. I don't know. Maybe I'm jaded because I'm more traveled, and also, yeah, I don't know. I just don't understand how someone wouldn't be able to know, even by looking at a Tinder profile. But I guess it happens, and I can't judge everybody. But I can judge everybody. CBL Daddy, I'm hanging out at the wrong spots. Medellin says I'm hanging out in the wrong spots. Perhaps, yeah. I mean, again, it's like if you're going for the quick hookups and stuff, and just hanging out in El Poblado and not doing activities that involve locals, it's you're gonna get what you're around, right? Thin Line Media says the high insecurity doesn't attract a lot of high-level people to Colombia, like, for example, in Bali and Thailand. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, literally, we've only had 1.6 million tourists this year, which is nothing compared to those countries. But at the same time, it's more than ever to Medellin. So it's getting up there, and now more than ever, more high-level people have been attracted. I know because 17 of them signed up for the Medellin Masterclass, 10 of which are buying properties out here, and not just one. We're talking about multiple properties. These people that have way more money than I do. But that was what surprised me about the Medellin Masterclass too, was the fact that I didn't know that Medellin was attracting this type of person. I guess it's because that wasn't my circle. Now that is my circle. I guess you don't know what you don't know, right? You need to get out more. Funny because it's true. Johnny, what's up, Johnny? How many times have you been robbed in Colombia? Me? Zero. I've been here 14 years. I've never been robbed in Colombia. I know friends that have gotten robbed. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. It just hasn't happened to me, knock on wood. Maybe I'm lucky. I know it's not just based on luck, but it's based on other factors. It's because I was born Colombian. I was raised in Southern California by Colombian parents, and they were raised in the 60s, 70s, and we left in the 80s. And for them, it was very important for us to always be vigilant of our stuff, to not trust anybody, not trust strangers. And this was in Southern California. At one point, we lived in Mission Viejo when my parents had success with their businesses, which was at one point, like in 1994, 1995, no, it was like 1995, 1994, 1995. Mission Viejo was the safest city in the planet. Zero crime rate, like negative crime rate. People give you money out there. I'm just kidding. But you get what I'm saying. And still, my parents did not trust anybody or let us sleep over at somebody's house or have friends sleep over. It took a long time for them to actually acclimate, or what do you call that? When you get used to an area or a city or a country. So it took them a while to assimilate. Sorry, that's the word I was looking for. Yeah. Okay, so that was number 2. I suggest if you're brand new to Medellin and you don't know the city and you're going to be here for a while, have a burner phone. Use that when you go out. Number 3 is don't carry or flash wads of cash. The problem is that a lot of tourists that come down here, they take out money in wads, right? They go to the ATM machine and they're taking out money for the whole week or for the whole month even. And they're carrying out a wad of cash, and then when they go out, they're coming out with 500,000 pesos all in 20s, and it looks like a big fat stack. And that can be what we call giving papaya. Very, what do you call it? It looks delicious to a thief, right? If you see, not even to a thief, just a local that is making less than $300 a month to live on, and you flash a wad of cash that could be 2 months worth of work for them, it would be like, holy shit, this guy's got a ton of cash on him. And that could be obviously a dead giveaway, right? Don't be flashing around cash. Don't be carrying around wads of cash. I don't do that. I've been here 14 years and I don't need to do that because most places here nowadays, they take cards. You could even pay with Google Pay and Apple Pay on their credit card little reader. Today I was out with a friend having coffee, and he paid with his iPhone or whatever, or his iWatch had his card on there, and he just went like that and paid. So all of that exists. There's no need to be carrying around wads of cash. The people that carry around wads of cash might be doing it for a particular reason, but it's obviously not recommended, especially if you're just going about your day. What do you need a whole wad of cash for, right? John Casto, what's up, John? Loving these, man. Keep them coming. Appreciate you, dude. Thank you, John. John is a member of the Medellin Masterclass. He is part of our community. He's an amazing guy. He's helped us a lot with the digital marketing, man. John, we definitely appreciate you for that. Can't wait for our Zoom call for our 2025 goals with the rest of the crew. The Medellin Masterclass here in January. That's going to be fun. I always love doing that. I love setting goals and making plans, and what the most important part about these Zoom calls, I think, is holding ourselves accountable, or having people that will hold us accountable to our shit. Because sometimes we make goals and we're left to our own devices, and then we're not, we can't self-account, right? And that used to be my flaw, and I recognize that. So it's always good to have a community or a circle of friends where you can tell them your plans and then be like, okay, we're going to meet in 3 months again, and we're going to do like a quarterly meeting where we're going to go over our goals and see where we went. So that's going to be tough. That's going to be tough, but it's good. Juan Arango, what's up? Juan Arango, do you know of a way for one to be able to be part of a group with all these people moving down and buying property there? Yeah, we have, well, if you are part of the Medellin Masterclass, you will be part of our mastermind, which is right now as big as, we have 17 people that have taken the Medellin Masterclass. So that's our group. But there's also other groups on like the MDE community. If you Google MDE, like the acronym for Medellin, and then the word community all together, MDE community on Google, you'll find a link that will show you all of the little groups that there are in Medellin. They're all WhatsApp groups, including a real estate group, an entrepreneur group, mastermind groups, etc. that you can join. It's free to join. It's on WhatsApp. And you are part of their community, and then they have meetups, and you go meet all of them, etc. I'm part of all those groups, and I love them because, like I said, your net worth is your network, right? Whatever your network is, that you divide by, you take 5 of the closest friends that you have, you divide their income or their annual income by 5, and that's pretty much what you're making. So if you can increase that, your income will increase as well. Piedad, beautiful Mission Viejo. Yeah, I loved Mission Viejo as a kid when I lived there for a few years. Best coffee shop by your crib, Hija Mia. Hija Mia is my favorite. Can you pay via Bancolombia? Yeah. You like transferencia. You could do a transfer with using a QR code. Yeah, like that's Bancolombia is like the best way to pay. Piedad, just with a debit card from Bancolombia. Yeah. Johnny, most of these men that get taken advantage of remind me of all the drunks I see here around town. Just vulnerable idiots. All BS aside, yeah, it's too bad. It's too bad, but really that needs to be addressed. It's not victim blaming. It's just basically victim warning. Don't become the victim because the justice system here sucks right now. Security levels are lower. Crime rate is higher. So we're not going to go try to, I have no power here. I'm not going to go try to change the penal code or go nudge the prosecutor so he'll prosecute more people because he's not. The police chief to go arrest more people because they're not. And when they arrest them, they let them go the next day because it's their jails are overcrowded. I mean, I can't do anything about that. But what I can do is spread knowledge and spread my experience living here and having been here 14 years and never have been robbed, never been scoped. I've never been with a girl that even asked me for money. Like, I know it might be hard for a lot of you because you're not Colombian, but every single girl that I've ever dated here, not one has ever asked me for anything. Like, and then I hear these guys, and granted that there is like a prototype of guy that gets taken advantage of because he is the sugar daddy or whatever. I ain't no sugar daddy, that's for sure. I'm a sugar baby. Give me sugar. Enrique, is Robledo, Pilarica safe to stay by? Myself and Airbnb? Yeah, I have a friend that lives in Pilarica. That area is safer, yes, for sure. Probably the safest or one of the safest in all of Robledo. It's nice. It's near things. I think the Éxito's near there as well. You should be fine there. I have a few friends that have stayed there in Airbnbs as well. Johnny, for a time here in my city, there was a group going around checking for unlocked houses. They would go in at gunpoint and take what they pleased. It's crazy all over, not just in Colombia. Yeah, I mean, crime happens everywhere, guys. And if you're leaving your house unlocked, even in a safe neighborhood in like the United States or none of the country, it could be an open invitation for someone unwanted to come in, right? It's the same thing here. You know, wearing a gold chain is an unwanted, you know, it's just basically giving an open invitation for something unwanted to come into your life. Tourists should know, the locals do, not to feed beggars. Due to this, it is attracting more and more homeless in high-end neighborhoods. Yeah, that's what I was talking about, Piedad. This is basically encouraging that action instead of them getting help through the regular means, right? I really am hanging out at the wrong spots. Medellin, you sound like some of the guys that I know that go to the bar that are always complaining, oh man, she hit me up for a motorcycle. Oh my gosh, she hit me up for that. Oh, where'd you meet her? I met her in Parque Lleras. Bro, really? Going to Laureles in a week, is it safe to walk around right now or do I have to expect to be robbed at this point? No. No, you're safe to walk around pretty much anywhere that there's like tourism, like Laureles, La Setenta, in those neighborhoods. It's safe to walk around there, especially in broad daylight. Where it's dangerous to walk is when it's dangerous to walk is at night, especially if you have gold chains on, expensive watches on, you look blonde hair, blue-eyed, speaking English, and you're drunk. That's like the ultimate shit. If I see someone like that, I'll rob them. No, I'm just kidding. But you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's too good. It's like, why would someone pass that up? Why would an unscrupulous person, a criminal, pass that up? A person that's completely drunk on their own, blue hair, blue eyes, or blue hair, maybe blue hair, but blonde hair, blue eyes, speaking English, great watch on, gold chains, or just, it doesn't even have to be blonde hair, blue eyes, just an American speaking English with expensive shit on, an iPhone, drunk, walking down the street at 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. Like, that's too good to be true. No, I don't expect to be robbed, but but also don't go out wearing gold chains. Yeah, that's the number one thing is don't wear shit like that, man. You're going to get robbed if you do. I had these two guys from Panama come to my Airbnb. They stayed for a couple nights downstairs in the same building. Both of them, giant chains. I'm like, you guys are going to go out like that? Like, even in broad daylight, I told them, don't do that because they'll tail you and then come and rob you over here. You know, someone will. Granted, they were only here for 2 nights. The possibility of that happen is lower when you're only here for like a night or 2 nights. But if you're here for like a whole week or a month or months and you're wearing that stuff, someone will see you and someone will tail you eventually. It's not going to happen right away. It probably won't happen right away. They're more meticulous in that. Okay, so the next tip is don't look like a tourist. Don't look like a tourist. Guys, what does a tourist look like? In your opinion, what would a tourist look like and what you shouldn't be wearing in Medellin to not look like a tourist? I'll let you guys answer that one. Medellin, her dog was sick and it was going to die if I didn't give her money. Come on, you're trolling now. You're trolling. Beast LFC, hope you're having a good day. Unknown, how you doing? Hope you're having a good day. Unknown says the only place I would walk to is the gym after I get off work at 5 p.m. Where do you live? You live like in Compton or Watts? Even there, I probably wouldn't walk to the gym. Beast LFC's, hola, Andrew. Can I renew the digital nomad visa before the 2-year is up, or do I have to leave Colombia for a certain period of time before returning? As far as I know, I think you can, and you can renew it from Colombia. I don't think you have to leave. But it's best to consult, obviously, a visa attorney or a specialist in visas. Do you have a biomig for immigration? I don't know what that means. A biomig. What is a biomig? Anan Man, what's up? There is no deterrence. Crazy black people getting mugged big time, too? Where? Like Louisiana? Definitely not in Medellin. Remember, there was a 1.6 million tourists to Medellin this year. 1.6 million tourists did not get robbed in Medellin or killed in Medellin. If you compare it to the amount of people that came here, the percentage is lower. It's really low, right? The people that gave papaya or the people that were just caught off guard and got robbed as well. And obviously the people that were just doing dumb shit, inviting people over to their house and then unfortunately getting killed or just getting drugged and robbed. That was a lower percentage than the people that actually had a great time here and nothing happened to them. You don't hear those stories. If you're watching YouTube, you're not going to hear those stories on other channels. Maybe on my channel, but you're not going to hear it on other channels because that doesn't get clicks. That doesn't get views. And that doesn't pay the bills. Phil, how's it going, Phil? Tourists look like me, blonde hair, blue eyes. I have many Paisa friends that are blonde hair, blue eyes. No shorts and flip-flops? That's true. No shorts and flip-flops. That's true. That reminds me of what an old boss used to say to me. You can hit your thumb with the hammer if it's not in the way. You can't hit your thumb with the hammer if it's not in the way. That's true. Don't wear sandals, shorts, or baseball shirts. Yeah, I don't know about the baseball shirts, but definitely the sandals part or the flip-flops or the slippers with socks, which I see a lot of people wearing nowadays. Medellin, now the dog has 3 legs and is happy. They can tell a tourist black, white, no matter how they look. Yeah, that's true. It's very easy to spot a tourist nowadays. No flip-flops. Yeah, tourist starter kit, light skin, baseball cap, belt, pouch, or shoulder bag. Ray-Ban sunglasses, flip-flops, and shorts. I think the dead giveaway is usually the flip-flops and the shorts, or basically the shorts. Like if you're wearing shorts, cargo shorts, any type of shorts, especially at night in the evening, you're a gringo. Even in the daytime, and if it's on Calle 10, you're a gringo. If you're wearing shorts and you're like in downtown, like no one's really going to be able to tell unless if you blatantly look like someone that's not from here. But if you look anything remote lighter skin or darker skin, I should say, you can blend in pretty easily. Brian Blue, what's up, Brian Blue? Brian Blue, I've known Brian Blue for years. Brian Blue, we used to play basketball together here from Canada. I believe you finished your master's or something like that, right, Brian? Glad you're here. You miss Medellin runs? Yeah, me too. I broke my hand. My knee is bum, bro. I'm 42 years old. I can't play ball right now, and it's sad. Congrats, Andrew. Glad to see your continued success in the city and love all of the charitable work you've done for the residents of the city over the years. You know how it is, Brian Blue. I appreciate you, my G. Medellin, when I was drugged, that was some of the best sleep in my life. Bro, that's some dark humor right there. Johnny says, where can I get an 8-ball of that? What, Johnny? What do I look like? Your drug concierge here? John Knox. What's up, John Knox? I think a lot of people just get frightened of Medellin and Colombia because of the party tourists being drugged, being targeted. And because of history going back decades, no longer applicable. Yeah, it doesn't help that, you know, these guys are getting drugged and robbed that are looking for sex. Doesn't help. Flip-flops, I think, are for Brazil, not Colombia. Well, flip-flops are for anywhere on the coast here, too. Like, you could go to Cartagena and be in flip-flops, and you're fine. Santa Marta, flip-flops are fine. Medellin has no beach. Andy, could I buy property with Bitcoin, Ether, Solana in Medellin? Yes, you can. You can. It depends on the seller, obviously, but you can do it. I've known people that have done it with crypto. Phil, good to know there are many folks that I can blend with the environment. I wear the typical Canadian tuxedo. I know the Canadian tuxedo. Jeans, work boots, plaid shirt, t-shirt, and a ball cap. Yeah, I mean, you're fine like that, man. Honestly, even if you do look like a tourist, as long as you're not doing stupid stuff, man, and stupid stuff meaning getting drunk, belligerent, getting drunk and blacking out, hiring prostitutes, getting women off Tinder that you just never even met and just wanting them to come over to your house, them offering to come over to your house, picking up women off the street and bringing them to your apartment or to your hotel. That's like, by now, most people that learn about coming to Medellin, even if you are a tourist, understand that that is a stupid thing to do, because the 30+ people that have been killed in Medellin in 2023, the majority, that was their scenario. A couple of them, it was because they resisted a robbery, but most of them, it was because they invited people that they didn't know to their house, and it was usually involving a woman for sex, whether it was paid, solicited, unsolicited, whatever the case is. That's just a no-no nowadays. It should be common knowledge. It's like common knowledge for Colombians. It's been common knowledge for Colombians. That's why there's no hookup culture here. No one's going to meet someone off the street or in a bar and bring them over to their house right away. It's Colombia. What's up, 916? Hope you're having a good day. Sorry, off the subject of safety. Did Rick mention he was renting an Airbnb monthly between 5 to 7K monthly? Yes, he does. I can put the link to his Airbnbs if you want them right here. Hold on. I'll do him the solid because I know he'll love this. Rick, here it is. I've got, anytime my Airbnbs are full, and mine are full until the end of March, I always give people this link right here. This is all of Rick. Rick has like 20+ properties on Airbnb. That's it right there. If you're looking for properties, check them all out. They're all pretty awesome. Different price ranges, but that's the link right there. All right, that was Phil. And what's up, Masta? What's up, Masta? Thanks, Andrew. I appreciate your content, but I don't like that other YouTubers, most doesn't really speak Spanish either, promote bargaining over 5,000 peso prices. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard about that, but I mean, if you've got dollars and you're coming down here, I mean, I think haggling is part of the art of buying and selling, which I understand. If I go to El Hueco, I'm bargaining. I'm going to be, lo menos, y si le compro dos, ¿cuánto me lo deja? That's normal. Like, for me, that's like second nature. My parents taught me that since I was a kid. But if I go to, like, you know, like the fruit stand and they say it's 4,000 pesos for a cup of mango, I'm not gonna say, no me lo deja tres. Like, come on. It's like $1. Medellin says, know when to call it a night. That's true. A lot of people, again, a lot of people come down here and they think that Medellin is like Las Vegas and that you can act wild because they've seen the videos, etc. Unfortunately, there are a lot of videos that show that, and you might get away with it. A lot of people get away from with it, right? There's been 1.6 million tourists to Medellin, and a lot of them partied, a lot of them wild out, a lot of them had a great time, a lot of them got blackout drunk, and were completely safe. I would venture to say that most of them did, and the majority did. But there's that small percentage that got drugged, that got robbed, and that got killed. So you've got to be aware of that. That is the risk. So the reason why that hasn't happened to me in the 14 years that I've lived here, even though I do drink, you guys know, I go to the bar, I go watch my sports, I go out with friends, I go to rooftop parties, I go do different things, but I don't get crazy drunk and wild and blacking out and doing 3 different drugs, thusi, cocaine, and marijuana all in one night. I know, because people coming down here and do that. And then add alcohol to the mix, then you're really stupid, right? Then you're really out of your senses. You could be taken advantage of. You can be drugged. If you imagine throwing escopolamina on top of all that. That's a cocktail of death. I mean, people have died with less, right? Like, what was it? Lane Staley, the lead singer of Alice in Chains, died to a speedball. That was just cocaine and heroin. Imagine if you're throwing all those 4 things and then you throw scopolamina on top of that. That's a recipe for death, really, really. And you don't even have to overdose. It's just a combination of all those drugs can kill you, man. So be very careful when you're out here, man. Just because the drugs and alcohol and the women are cheap doesn't mean that you got to go crazy, right? Avoid paying high rent is affecting the livelihood in Colombia. Avoid paying high rent is affecting, what is that, Piedad? What do you mean? Medellin, I have been told I was handsome since my mom told me I was. I haven't been told I was handsome. Yeah, see, some guys come out here. We'll get to that because that's one of the tips. Don't worry, Medellin. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. What internet provider are you using? I have Claro. Do I? No, I have Tigo. Sorry, I had Claro and I switched over to Tigo because their internet is way more consistent. As you can see, I stream 2 times a week. I haven't crashed. I used to stream every single day playing Fortnite video games on Twitch and YouTube for 2 years, and out of the 2 years, I probably crashed a handful of times, probably 5 or 6 times where the internet just went down and my stream crashed. But overall, it's pretty consistent. That's the great thing about Medellin and why I love living here over some of the other cities that are also awesome, like Pereira, Manizales, Cali, Bucaramanga, Cartagena, even Bogota or Santa Marta. It's because the infrastructure is pretty great here. Gabo, what's up, Gabo? What is property tax work like? Can you give an overview of how that works if owning residential property? I appreciate it. Property tax is super low. It's like less than 1%, bro. Like, don't even, it's negligible, to be honest. Property tax is called predial. In Spanish, it's called predial, and it's like less than 1%. It's like 0.5% of the property value, too. Estimated property value. So it varies every year, but it's very, very, very small. Anon, back in the day, 10 years ago, when gringos were still a novelty and Tinder was new, hook up like crazy in Colombia, sometimes multiple times a day. Those days are over now. Yeah, exactly. Those days are definitely over, bro. Andy, do you take crypto for your Airbnb? Are you a Bitcoin crypto friendly? I would consider it. Yeah, hit me up. My email is in the description below. If you want to email me, I'll send you the link to my Airbnbs. That dude that just got drugged in Colombia, the one that's going viral, he seems like he has zero street knowledge. He reminds me of a contestant on 60 Days In. I don't know. I haven't seen it, bro. Somebody just mentioned some guy, a German dude. What apps to get a ride in 2023? You mean 2024? Didi or Uber? I only use Uber, and I only use Uber Comfort. But then again, my budget is very different than some of the other people that are living out here. My budget is higher, and on top of that, I don't go very far. Like literally, like tonight, I'm gonna go watch college football. After this, at the bar, which is 12 minutes away. On Uber, it's maybe, what, 3 or 4 minutes away? It might be a little bit because of the traffic, but I only use Uber Comfort when I go because I'm a taller guy. I like air conditioning. I like the bigger cars, and I pay for it, right? So it's I only use Uber Comfort. I don't use any other app. Watching the Dallas Cowboy game tonight too. Thank you for the overview. No worries, Gabo. Yeah, the property tax is really easy to understand here. Michigan, let's go. All right, so the next tip is to take Ubers, bro. Take Ubers, guys. If you're going to be out here and you're new to Medellin, or even if you're not new to Medellin, the price of Uber is so cheap that why are you going to cheap out on getting an Uber and go with a street taxi that might rob you or just you won't have a pleasant experience? It's very rare that I have a pleasant experience on a street taxi as it is. I've never been robbed, been here 14 years, never been held up by a taxi or anything. I've heard of people getting robbed, even locals, by taxis. Just never happened to me, knock on wood. Maybe I just look mean. I don't know what it is. But it's never happened to me. But I also avoid going in taxis because I hate the experience of a taxi. They drive like shit. They're a lot of them are never clean. They reek of either weed or just like bad smells. They don't keep them up very well. I'd rather just get an Uber Comfort. I don't know. I'm a bougie bitch, but that's just me. Yeah, the Lions can beat the Cowboys. We got our fingers crossed. I don't know. I'm a Raiders fan. I can't like the Cowboys. I love Uber in Medellin. Yeah, you can't hate on Uber in Medellin. It's so cheap. What about InDriver? Never used it, but I know a lot of people use it as well. Pick app, which is the motorcycle app. If you want a motorcycle to come in, if you feel like Evel Knievel getting on a motorcycle in Medellin, use the Pick app. It's called Pick app. Sean says, how much is an Uber from the airport? An Uber from the airport, I don't know exactly, but it could be like between 120 to 150 thousand pesos. I usually just use my driver because I don't want to deal with the fluctuation. I know that he's going to charge me $40 basically. I think he's charging like $35 now. I know he's going to charge $35. He's going to be there waiting for me, pick me up and bring me back, and that's it. And $35 is not that much for a 20-minute ride. Cowboy haters, yeah, I hate the Cowboys. I'm a Raider. Sean Riley, $25 roughly. Yeah, so okay, so Uber is cheaper than my private driver, but that's why he's a private driver. He charges a little bit more. 100 to 130. Thank you, CBL Daddy. I appreciate it. He just was in the airport, so he knows. Okay, the next tip is don't leave your stuff lying around. I know it sounds like common sense, but if you're coming to Medellin in 2024, don't leave your stuff unattended, even if it's just for a second, because people are sly. People are sly and they work in groups. They work in teams when they really want to rob something from someone, for example, like on the metro or at malls, or etc. It doesn't really happen that much at malls because mall security is really good here in most of the malls. I would say in all of the major malls. But in like a commercial center, maybe a strip mall or something, you leave your stuff unattended, you could literally get it robbed easily because you're not aware. And someone is probably watching you or could be watching you. I'm not saying it's going to happen 100% of the time, but a lot of the times where people leave something unattended, it might get taken because someone was watching what you have, right? So don't leave your stuff hanging around. Johnny says, yeah, you have a different demeanor. You're confident and you carry yourself very respectful. You seem like someone that's street smart too. The energy is positive, so you're definitely not the target. Yeah, I know. I try not to make myself the target. I'm always aware, and it's something that it just comes innate now. Like, for example, when I'm walking up Calle 10, I know where the police are, right? Every time I go. When I go downtown, since I'm tall, I can see over people, and I'm like, oh, there's a policeman there, there's 2 there, there's 3 back there. I know where I'm at all times. Guess who? Ubers are not technically legal in Colombia. I don't suggest taking one from the airport. It may be okay to have one drop you off at the airport, though just not for pickup from the airport. Yeah, I don't know what the legality is. I know that they made them legal, or I guess to bypass the legality. When you order when you order an Uber here, you'll notice that you have to consent to an agreement that you're hiring the Uber as an independent contractor. And now it's just between you and the Uber, or you and the actual driver. There's a contract in place. And you'll notice when you order an Uber, maybe the first time, or maybe even every time that you order an Uber, you'll have to press yes in order to continue to agree to get into this informal, or I guess this formal, independent contract with the Uber, since it's not technically a legal business in Medellin, but it is legal to be an independent driver under an independent contract to somebody. So that's how they've made it legal. Now, the fact that they don't like the Ubers in the airport because of the airport taxi mafia, that's different. So it's not a legal reason. It's mostly because of the taxi mafia there, the white taxis that have been there for years. Common sense isn't so common. Yeah, but common sense is relative, right? Some people have common sense and they say you should have common sense. But what is common sense? In Colombia, common sense is way different than the common sense in the United States. In the United States, it's common sense not to cross the road without and not going and not using a crosswalk. That's common sense. Use a crosswalk and look both ways. In Colombia, nobody uses a crosswalk. It's not common sense. So get that straight. It's a different culture. In Colombia, it's common sense to never bring anybody that you don't know into your house. It's common sense to not leave your stuff lying around. It's common sense that if you're in the metro or in a crowded bus and you have a backpack on, to put the backpack in the front of you so that nobody can open it in the back. It's common sense. In the United States, that's not common sense, at least not where I grew up, and many people that probably live in the United States never even heard of that. Like, why would I switch my backpack to the front when I'm going on public transportation? Here, you might get robbed. They might open it up, unzip it, take your stuff out. That's common sense, so it's different. So I guess common sense is relative. Glenn says, I've rearranged a private driver to pick me up at the airport. Seems smart to do. Yeah, it's less hassle. You literally, the great thing about the private drivers is that you give them the flight number and they have an app to track your flight. So if you're delayed or if you're early, they'll be there. And even if you don't have internet, they'll be there because they know your flight has landed and that you should be coming out of customs and through the door in, 30 minutes or an hour, whatever it is, right? Andy E says, always sit in the front seat of an Uber. Yeah, well, they'll ask for that too, just because they don't want people to know that they're Ubers. To avoid robberies, to avoid other taxi drivers hating on them, etc. You kept getting bad ratings until you figured that out. Yeah, Ubers want you to sit in the front seat for various reasons, but number one is for their safety, because taxis don't like Ubers. So if they are spotted transporting people, they might be tailed and then their car trashed or whatever. That was happening when Uber was first introduced here. But now you can get a taxi on Uber. Via that, there is also door-to-door service by the authorized white taxis at the airport. Yeah, true. You prefer the private driver that you trust and you can trace in case you forget something in the car. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, my driver has been my driver and my friend. He's a friend of mine for years. So if I leave something, I know it's safe. Phil, how do I get a private driver? You get a private driver by going on the Facebook groups and asking for a private driver. There's many that are vetted that a lot of people use. Just go to any Facebook group like Gringo Paisa. That's the one that I moderate. Expats in Medellin. There's a ton of them on Facebook that, and you don't even have to post anything. There's a little search bar and you type in driver and then you'll see all the posts that were made in the past by drivers themselves or people recommending a driver, and you'll have a whole list of them. Yeah, that says Andrew might have a recommendation. Yeah, look for Oscar in those groups. Oscar Giraldo, that's my private driver, speaks English fluently, lived in the United States in New Jersey, I believe, for 16 years. Great guy. He's got his own transportation company, so he is legally a transportation company. He's not just a guy with a car. He is registered with the Board of Tourism here, etc. He was the guy that would drive us around during COVID when no one else was able to drive because no one had the registration for tourism or the tourism board registration. MK Fresh, yeah, the biggest issue with Ubers is them not working at the airport, and that's when you need them the most because you have all your valuables. Exactly. That's why the private driver for me has worked. I just never really had good experiences, like customer service wise and quality wise with the taxis. So I don't really do the taxis. I'd rather do the private driver or an Uber in the city. Okay, the next tip for 2024 safety in Medellin for men, mostly men and some women. Women are just smarter, guys. Out of all the people that were killed in Colombia in 2023, none of them were women. So a lot of this stuff doesn't apply to them because just by the nature of being a woman traveler, they are already aware. They're already doing research on safety because women are just, I'll just flat out say it. Women can think with this head because they don't have another head that dominates what they think. It's like, that's as eloquently as I can put it. A lot of guys think with their secondary head, and that gets them in the most trouble. So the next tip is, if you're here for the first time in Medellin, or you're not a person that is living here long term and doesn't have their bearings, or that doesn't have their community in place here, I would recommend you not to go out alone. And for example, this is a great example of why women are safer here, because women already know this. Women will not go out. It's very rare that you'll see a solo female traveler going out alone to parquilleras to go drink and pick up hookers. Like literally, I don't think I've ever seen that. But you will see males doing that, and those are the guys that are most vulnerable. So if you're a guy and you're coming out here, maybe not going even to parquilleras to pick up hookers or whatever, but let's say you're going out for the night and you're going to La Setenta, maybe even Provenza, go out with people, go out with groups, start networking with people right now. You could do that even when you're not in Medellin. You can go on MDE Community, seek out people that like to go out and maybe watch football, maybe go watch baseball, basketball, maybe go out dancing, salsa clubs, etc. There's everything. There's a group for everything on MDE Community, which are WhatsApp groups, or on Facebook. There's a community for pretty much everything to do out here. There's no reason for you to go out solo, especially if it's like your first times out here. And then I go out solo all the time, but I've been here for 14 years. I know where I'm going, and everywhere I go, I'll meet someone that I know and be like, oh, hey, let's have a drink, or hey, let's catch up. It happens every single time I go out. But if you're new here, I suggest not to go out alone. Try to start making some friends before you go out there by yourself to go drinking or whatever. The Thin Line Media says, all my female friends, both gringos and Colombians, have been robbed in Colombia at least once and even shot this summer. Holy cow. Dang. Yeah. I know people that have been robbed. I mean, being in Colombia and being female and being vulnerable, they get robbed, but they definitely don't get scoped and killed. A few months ago, I got followed and chased on foot by taxis at Armenia Airport when they saw I was getting an Uber. Nice adrenaline rush. Wow. Yeah, that's tough. It's also important to report any incident to the police in order to demand more security for tourists. That's true. Is there a zoo in Medellin? Yeah, it's called Santa Fe. Zoológico de Santa Fe. It's in the neighborhood of Santa Fe. It's very depressing. I don't recommend you go there. Like the animals look like they're just sad. It's bad. Is it common to use payment services, apps, credit cards, or cash? I always use cards. I never even carry cash. I mean, it's very, very rare that I carry cash. When I go out, I'll carry one of my cards, and that's it. My card, my ID. Literally, my wallet is like this thin, like nothing on it. Like, I hope one day I won't ever have to carry a wallet. The only reason now I carry a wallet, because I do have like Google Pay, so I'll use that as well. But eventually, I'll just have my phone. But the only reason I carry my wallet is for my ID, because as a Colombian in Colombia, by law you have to carry an ID when you go out. Like a police stops you and you don't have an ID, you could get a ticket. That's part of the police code. Is it common to use payments? Oh, I just answered that. Yes, it is common for sure. Okay, the next tip is a very important one. Don't be the tough guy when you're coming out here to Medellin. This is not, This is not, again, this is not Las Vegas. This is not United States. This is not Bali, where if you have steroids and you've got a tank top on and you're pumped up and you've got tattoos, life is not worth much here. You'll be dropped in a second. That people don't fight. Colombians don't fight fair. I know that from experience. Colombians don't fight fair. They will have a weapon and they'll either shoot you or stab you. They don't give a fuck. It's like, that's what it is. Because they know that the justice system here is broken. If they kill you, they could get away with it, but if they don't, they're not going to do much time, and if they've got money, they're going to do even less time. So don't be the tough guy. Don't come out here drinking and thinking just because you've got muscles and tattoos and a tank top that you can be that tough guy, especially after drinking, because that can get you in trouble. It could get you shot, it could get you killed, it could get you stabbed, and nobody wants that, right? So again, it comes down to respecting the people and the culture. There's a reason why, if you ever watch any of the unfortunate videos of someone getting shot and killed here by like a sicario, a hitman, you'll see the hitman, no tattoos on him, no definitive face tattoos, nothing. Tattoos here in Colombia mean nothing. Actually, criminals prefer not to have tattoos because they would rather not be identified on TV, by CCTV or anything. So you'll see tattoos, obviously. But when you see like those heavy guys, like the barrios and shit, those, it's not like the gangs in LA or even like in the United States where tattoos define them. Here, it's a little bit different. So that doesn't intimidate anybody here, right? Because we know that if you get into that, we know that as a Colombian, I know that I'm not going to go out and get into an altercation ever. Like, it's never even it's not even in my frame of mind, right? That if I go out, I will get into an altercation, because an altercation can lead to me getting stabbed or shot. Those are the consequences, and it's very plausible, right? Whereas in the United States, you get in an altercation, you get into a fist fight. You could get into it. I've been in bar fights. I've been in fist fights in the United States as a young adult. No one ever got shot or killed. Although I lived in Southern California where that does happen. But here, people don't get in altercations because you might not get shot and killed today, but the person that you messed with might come back and do it. So just avoid it as a whole. Don't be the tough guy. Yeah. What about a photocopy? I don't know. That might work for a tourist, MK Fresh, a photocopy of your ID. But for a Colombian, by law, we have to have our physical ID with us at all times. I know it sucks, but that's why I carry a wallet. It's the only reason. I have made a wallet-sized copy for carrying around while I'm out. Yeah. So that might even work, or maybe even a picture on your phone could work. But yeah, the Colombia mafia is serious, right, Andrew? Yeah, but like the mafia is not the one that's going to, I mean, obviously if you have bad luck enough to pick a fight with a mafia member, that would be very, very bad luck. But even just someone from a barrio that's out and about in Lleras or wherever you're at, La 70 or La 33, and you get bumped and you feel disrespected and then you bump back, that could be a bad idea. Like literally that alone could be a bad idea. And that could lead to you getting physically harmed. I wasn't talking about you picking a fight with someone. I was talking about something as small as that. Like you get bumped and everybody's drunk or buzzed and you're at a dance club, or someone asks your girl to dance and you feel offended. You know, in the United States, you see this, and these are altercations that happen and people get in fist fights and bar fights. Here, you just let it go. Like that's my biggest tip, is just to let that go. It's not worth it because you don't know who that other person is or who they know, right? Donald says, I am from LA. Can you arrange for gun when I get there? I can't. What do I look like? Literally, I'm on YouTube. That's it. That's my extent of my power. I can't arrange for a gun. What are you, crazy? No, I don't. To get a gun in Colombia, I know involves a lot of paperwork. I've never tried it. Never really saw a need for it. But you can get it. You just got to go through the legal means of doing that. No, as a tourist, you cannot have a firearm. Okay, there you go. Phil can't do it. I'm sure you can illegally, though, but I don't recommend you do that. Piedad, weapon, pepper spray, or knives are illegal to carry in Colombia. I don't know what the legality is on pepper spray or knives. Someone said that in the last live that I did, someone said that you can carry pepper spray. And but I know knives you can't, right? Unless if it's for work purposes. Like that's why you'll see like the old man carrying a machete around. That's because he works as a gardener. Andrew, the YouTube gunfighter. Yeah, exactly. Okay, the next tip is, okay, so that was don't be the tough guy. If little things agitate you, Medellin might not be it for you. If you get angry when you drink, Medellin might not be for you. If you feel the need to be the tough guy and want to fight people, Medellin is not the place for you. The next tip is don't wear gold or expensive watches when you go out. I mean, that's a no-brainer, but a lot of people that might listen to this on the replay or on the podcast that are visiting for the first time or second time or even third time that are coming down here, leave your expensive shit at home. You don't need chains here. People are not impressed by your big gold chains and your Rolex, right? That's almost a sign of weakness here. Like it could be a signal for ridicule as well. Like if you see someone like that, if I see someone like that, and my Colombian friend sees someone like that, it'd be like, yo, this man, he's got a death wish or what? It's not recommended. I hope that you've seen enough news and news stories to prevent you from wanting to go out with big gold chains and gold wristbands or whatever, bracelets and watches, and what do you call it? Rings. I've seen guys with rings out here. I'm like, yo, someone will cut your finger off. Juan Arango says, my cousin is going through a ton of background checks and even a psychological studies just to inherit an antique gun from my uncle. Yeah, I've heard there's a lot of bureaucracy and paperwork for a firearm. I have a friend that does have one because he has a service for an armed... he has a Maserati out here with a private driver that carries a gun for like really high-end clients out here. And he had to go through that whole registration process. The best defense in Medellin is not even be in contact with any conflict. Well, the best defense in Medellin is like the best defense towards an STD. It's just abstinence. Don't have sex. If the best defense to Medellin is don't come to Medellin. If you feel afraid, if you feel like this is not the place for you based on what we're talking about, what you've seen on TV, then don't come. Even though my business is to help people relocate to Medellin, if someone comes to me and says, tell me why I should come to Medellin, I will tell you, I don't need to tell you. Go do your research. If you feel like you want to come, and then we'll talk. I'm not here to convince you to come to this country. The country does a better job of that than I do, right? And the stuff on the internet that you can see, the great stuff about it that you find does a better job than anything I can say. But what nobody can do that I can do is to help you relocate, find a property, and do everything that you need to do out here to live a happy life. Nobody out there does it better than Medellin Masterclass. I can guarantee you that because there's really nobody out there doing it. I have no competition. We've cornered the market. Tony Lopez says, is solo traveling in Medellin in January 2024 safe for the most part, or should I cancel my trip? Tony Lopez, like I just said, I can't convince you that it's the safest country in the world because it's not. It's not the safest country in the world. But if you know me and you watch my channel and I had never come to Medellin before and I was deciding to come to Medellin, I would have a safe and happy trip just because I don't do drugs, I don't go get blackout drunk, and I don't look for prostitutes on Tinder or on the street. And I don't bring them back to my apartment or my Airbnb, wherever I'm staying at. Those are the people that are most at risk or in danger, apart from the people that are flashing gold chains, Rolexes, and expensive jewelry, and just being wild out here. Those are the two that are getting, shafted in Medellin, really. So if you don't fall into that, then you'll be fine for the most part, unless if you're extremely unlucky. But if you do fall in that, then go to Thailand. Go to a country where sex tourism is legal and also safer. Colombia is not the safest place. Colombia is not a safe place for sex tourism. Let's just leave it at that. The next tip is another one that I just mentioned. Don't get blackout drunk. If you come to Colombia and you're coming to party and you're going to have drinks, just make sure to don't overdo it, man. Have self-control. Don't get blackout drunk, because you never know what can happen to you after that, and you won't know until the next day when you sober up. And you can get robbed, you can get pickpocketed. At the very least, you might get pickpocketed. At the worst, you could get drugged and killed. Like, literally, those are the two extremes that can happen out here. So if you're coming out here, make sure to drink in moderation. Don't get crazy with the drinks. Don't get crazy with the drugs. Even though they've decriminalized them. So I can't say, don't come down here and do that, because my own country is basically condoning it, saying we've decriminalized marijuana and cocaine. Personal stashes are all right. So I can't tell you, hey, don't come down here and do that because you're going to be in trouble. No, legally it's decriminalized. Alcohol is legal here as well. So people come down here and indulge in that. But just know that if you go crazy with it, you run the risk of getting robbed, or even worse, overdosed on scopolamine if you get involved with the wrong people. So just make sure that you're using your common sense, man. I feel like I'm talking to like children here. Well, I hope my kid, now that I'm gonna have a kid, he watches this and goes, "Oh, my dad had a point." Okay, the next tip for people coming down to Medellin in 2024, very, very important. We're coming down to 1, 2, 3, 4. The top 4 tips. The number 4 tip when coming to Medellin, Colombia in 2024, even as a tourist or as an extended stay, like a month, 2 months, 3 months, is to learn some Spanish. That can literally make your trip go from, it was all right, or, oh, I hated it, to, wow, this trip was awesome. If you just learn some Spanish, even if it's just the basics, like to order food, to order a drink at the bar, to say hello to someone and say goodbye to someone, to ask them where they're from, how they're doing. Why? Because in Medellin, less than 4% of the people speak English. Even in the tourist areas, if you go to a restaurant that many tourists and foreigners frequent, most of the waiters and staff will not speak English. They'll only speak Spanish. So make it easier on yourself and not having to use Google Translate and handing the phone back and forth or showing a screen. Learn some Spanish. When you start learning the language, then you start understanding the culture a little bit. The culture can be complex to understand, but you definitely want to start learning Spanish so that you can understand why things happen the way they do. A lot of people come down here, and I see it all the time from expats that come down here and move here, and then they're bitter about the way things work, yet they don't speak Spanish, so they don't even understand why they work the way they work, right? Why is it that, people are super slow at the cashier, right? Why is it that people drive the way they drive? They don't understand Spanish. They don't understand the culture. They don't understand the history of the country. I mean, this goes all hand in hand. And it starts with just understanding even just a little bit of Spanish and then diving deeper into the culture, maybe studying some of the history if you really want to live down here. If you're coming as a tourist, you're probably not doing all of this, but that's the way I travel. If I go to a new country or even to a new city, within Colombia, I take the walking tours. I go to the museums. I love going to churches, even though I'm not religious. I go to the churches because they're filled with history. And if that's not the type of traveler you are, at least watch YouTube videos about it and maybe learn some of the language. But that is the best way to stay safe in a new country. And that's a tip for anywhere you go in the world. I mean, not just Medellin, but since we are talking about Medellin, go on YouTube, start looking at some of the history, not the narco history. I'm talking about what's the history of the church downtown, right? The oldest church in the city. What's the history of the bridge downtown, the oldest bridge, the first bridge that crossed the river in Medellin? There's a history behind that. Just things like that might help you understand the culture a little bit and also help you keep safe while you're down here. Professor Andres. Spanish basic. Dame una, por favor. Yeah, exactly. Just knowing some of the Spanish is great. Agreed completely. Learning Spanish will change everything. That's true. Go to Medellin, people. Don't live in fear. Just be smart. Do research in advance. And get Andrew's masterclass in advance. Yeah, I mean, and I understand that not everybody can afford the masterclass, but at least be smart enough to do research, right? Watch other YouTubers. There's a ton of great information out there. Even the stuff that is scary, like the news and the stuff that the people that report on crimes, that's meant to be informative, not to scare you away. It's meant for you to gain some more street knowledge in a country that you don't know anything about or very little about. What are the interest rates banks are offering? Savings, term deposit, savings. It's like just like in the United States. It's like 8%. Yeah, maybe 2%, but it's like about 1%. There are like CDs, what they call here. I forget the name of them. What are they called? Shoot, I forgot. I have one. But the return on that's about 15%. So there are some longer investments where you could put your savings. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so that's number 4. Learn some Spanish. Number 3, the number 3 tip is don't fight back if you're getting robbed. I know we've gone over this before, but that's the number 3 tip is if you're getting robbed in Medellin, even if it's at knife point, even if you don't see the object that they're holding under their shirt or under their sweater or whatever it is, don't resist. Just give up your stuff. It's not worth it because you don't know if he's bluffing or not. And you don't want to know. I don't want to know. If someone were robbing me, I would just give my stuff up. I obviously travel light, so they wouldn't be taking much from me. Losing a phone to me won't hurt. I can get a new one tomorrow if I want to. So I know that going out. So if something does happen, I would never resist. And that goes along with, not being the tough guy and not getting too drunk, because we've gone over those. Because once your inhibitions are lowered and someone comes to you and robs you and you don't see the object that they're trying to hold you up with, you might want to fight back, and that can get you in trouble. So don't do that. The people that have been killed in 2020, in 2023, a percentage of them were because they resisted a robbery. So don't do that. If you come down here, I would suggest not to do that anywhere in the world, but especially not here in Medellin. CDT, that's it. Thank you, Piedad. Yes, CDT. CDT. That's the CD here in Colombia. Thank you. Yeah, so that's number 3. Don't fight back. Sammy, what's up, Sammy? What are the interest rates? Oh, I just answered that. Sorry. I was going for 916. Said, lo siento, mi español es muy mal. And they always reply with tranquilo, tranquilo, está bien. Yeah, exactly. People want to communicate with you, especially if you're like in a place, an establishment. They want to sell you stuff and have pretty decent customer service. So if you go with even minimal Spanish, they'll try to make it easier for you. Are they safe, secure? They have been for me, Sammy. I've had one for years now, and I keep feeding into it over the years. I also have an AFK here, which is like a retirement fund. I have that as well. They're super safe. The banking system in Colombia is safe for the most part here, and for the foreseeable future, all of the financial podcasts and stuff and news outlets that I watch in Spanish from Colombia are pretty sure. I would say I wouldn't even say pretty sure, are definitively sure that Colombian economics is safe for the foreseeable future. So I don't worry about my investment into the banking system here. Obviously, I'm diversified. I have money here. I have money in the United States. I have property here. So I don't put all my eggs in one basket, which obviously is up to you to research and find out. But yeah, for the most part, I would say, yes, they're safe. Okay, so the number 2 piece of advice for safety for men and some women in 2024 in Medellin is, if you use dating apps, use your head on your shoulders, not the one below the belt. I'll read that again. These are my words. If you're going to use dating apps, use the head on your shoulders, not the one below your belt. A lot of people And when I say people, I mean men, because they're the ones that have the thing below their belt, the head below their belt. Think with the head below their belt, and I don't know what it is. I have my own theories, and here I'm going to say one, and it might be controversial, but whatever. A lot of the guys that are coming down here for sex are because they are coming down here because, number one, it's cheap. Number two, they're sexless in the United States, so they're kind of borderline desperate. So when they come down here, any little young pretty thing that says hello to them and says, hola amor, hola bebé, ¿qué vamos a hacer? You know, what are we going to do, baby? When they hear that, they're starved for affection and attention from females that they get blinded, right? They got the horse blinders on, or they've got the curtains up where they can't see the red flags, and then they get into a situation that could be deadly, like the 30+ people that have been killed in 2023. So, again, to reiterate, if you're going to be using dating apps, use the head on your shoulder more than the head below your belt. When you see women on these dating apps and the first words out of their or I guess the first things that they type to you is hola amor, hola bebé, that is not natural. That's not how women talk to men here in Colombia upon first meeting them. It's very rare, unless if you are an extremely good-looking guy, because I have seen it. I have friends that are very good-looking, both paisas and foreigners that are on the street. I've seen women fight over guys, like my guy friends that are very good-looking, and that does happen, where they talk to them like that. But for us, the regular people, this does not happen. So if that's happening to you, that is not a regular occurrence. If it's not a regular occurrence in your country, that's not part of our culture here in Colombia. So if a woman like that starts talking to you like that, it's probably not real. The chances are that it's not real. There are those exceptions, and you might find that exception, and that might give you the confidence to say that, oh, all women out here are going to love me. And then you get overconfident. So just make sure to think with your head above your shoulders. Phil, I don't even use dating apps, so I'm good there. Yeah, exactly. And even without the dating apps, on the street, if a girl says, hola, bebé, you know she's a hooker. It's like, unless if she's like an old lady, she's like, ah, mi vida, oh, sí, amor. Like, if they say, like, old ladies say that to you. But like a girl that's 20 years younger than me saying that to me, I look at her sideways. I'm like, what do you want? Get out of here. Swipe left in real life with my backhand. EST, great stream so far, man. Keeping me informed on my drive. Oh, let's go. Driving and listening. Sammy says, and the tattoos. I mean, women that are, yeah, the tattoos are usually a dead giveaway of basically what you would call in the United States a hood girl or a hood rat, I guess, to use unsavory language. But to be honest, in Colombia, like the upper echelon of people, meaning the educated people, the people that have jobs and stuff, for the most part, they don't have face tattoos, neck tattoos, like visible tattoos up here, etc. Some will, you'll see them, like they'll have arm tattoos, which are normal. But you can tell the difference between like a ghetto tattoo and like a tattoo that was done by like an artist that looks sick, right? Like you'll see the differences. And you'll also see the differences in the pictures on these dating apps. Like if there's bricks and exposed wires and she's got someone's name tattooed on her chest, but she's hot and she's 19 and you're 40 and she's saying, hola amor, let's go out for drinks. Don't do that. Don't go out. J Balvin and Maluma have tattoos. Yeah, like I said, you'll see them. You'll see them, but those are not ghetto tattoos. You know the difference, Thin Line Media. Don't play dumb. Gordon Black, that's why I'm bringing my own woman. Marriage has its hitches. Let's go, Gordon Black. Let's go. Kudos to you bringing sand to the beach. No, I'm just kidding. Andrew, not necessary. Know that it is a lovey-dovey culture too. You cannot be too apprehensive. There is sweetness and kindness, people. Yeah, but I'm talking about upon the first words that they say to you is hola amor or hola bebé. Like that is cause for apprehension in my book. Like if someone immediately says hola amor, not even amor, just hola amor. Because yeah, if they use the A, that's a whole different connotation, Piedad. And we know this as Colombians. Hola amor could be like hello there, you know, a woman talking to a man. But hola amor, the M-O-R, then that's different than, it's just, again, this is part of learning Spanish, learning the culture, learning the nuances within the language and the culture, the slang, the idioms, etc. So yeah, not amor, more. There you go, Thin Line Media. B2, you got to be like a country code inspector looking for exposed wire and exposed wall frames and these dating apps. Yeah, I mean, honestly, like for example, I've seen. So one of the guys that got killed here, I'm not going to mention what or who it was, but someone that got killed here in 2023 was someone that was led to a neighborhood in Robledo, and he was killed there, unfortunately, R.I.P. And it sucks to talk about this, but I have to because I hope that it could deter people from getting hurt out here or even killed. So him going out to Robledo from a Tinder date is like me being in Southern California and being in Mission Viejo, if you understand what, or let's say Brentwood. Brentwood is a expensive neighborhood in LA County, not even Orange County. Let's say I'm in LA County in a very nice neighborhood like Brentwood, safe neighborhood, $1 million houses. You know, that's kind of like the equivalent of being in El Poblado in the hills here. There's not $1 million penthouses yet, but there are $1 million houses up in Las Palmas and stuff. So that's like being here and getting on Tinder, swiping and hooking up with a girl, and then her telling you, let's come over to my house. We're having a party in South Central LA. Like if you're from LA and you're Latino and a girl tells you this, and for you to go alone with her and her friend to her house in South Central LA, in Compton, in Watts, in some ghetto ass part of the city, what do you expect is going to happen, right? Like that's the equivalent. I don't know what the equivalent would be like in New York, but I'm sure every state has a city where it's like you don't want to go there. And it's the same thing here in Colombia. And if you don't know Spanish, you don't know the culture, you don't know the lay of the land, two beautiful young girls inviting you over to their apartment is like you hit the jackpot. But they're telling you to go to Robledo. You're like, oh, that sounds fine. How far is it? Oh, it's only 10-minute drive. Everything is like a 10, 15-minute drive in Medellin. Oh, that's not far from Poblado. Boom. You're in the ghetto. Now you're getting extorted. It's like, it's tough. But hopefully we can learn from those mistakes. All the women I know from Robledo are pretty hood. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I know a lot of people from Robledo that are nice, but yeah, there are hoods up there. There are definitely dangerous hoods up there too. Can you? How can I take pictures and videos for memories while out in the city? Seems like just pulling out your phone in public will make you a victim of robbery. Tony, if it's your first time and you're only here for a few days, just don't take it out. If you're here for months, go out, explore the city, get your bearings, and then you'll know where you can take out your phone and not. Because you can. Like, I do it all the time. I take selfies. I literally have videos on YouTube where I'm walking up the street with my phone out for a straight 12 minutes, 15 minutes. It's possible. I even did it downtown. I have a downtown video where I went through downtown with my phone out, but I know downtown. I lived there for a year and a half. If you're brand new to the city, I don't suggest you do it because you don't know what to look out for. Hey, let's go, Mr. Glenn. Thank you so much for the $5 dono. Sorry I missed it. I did see it. Good job with the thumbs up with the little kitty cat. Let's go. 916. All women I know. Oh, I read that already. Sean Riley says, what is the brand of those translator earbuds? Here. They are Time Kettle. Time Kettle. And there's a discount code for, I think, 15 or 20% discount on my Time Kettle video. So go check it out. And it's in the description. There's a link to their website. And just put the code that's in that description or in the pinned comment. And you'll get like a 15 or 20% discount on these. They're awesome. I used them today. I literally still have them in my back pocket for doing the street interviews. Like, people are floored by them. Like the locals. They're like, how can I get these? They're awesome. They're these little earbuds that are like, they're so much better than Google Translate. I could just tell you that right away. Also, it is important that Colombians are not going to be inviting you to their home. Yeah, exactly. If someone invites you to their home, it's like, wait a minute. Unless if it's like your girlfriend that you've been dating for a couple days or 3 days or 4 days, like it's very common for that when you're dating in a serious relationship that someone invites you to, meet their family, and it could be pretty soon, but not off just a Tinder date on the first date. That's weird. Juan Arango says, "Mor is the snake charmer talk." That's what you tell your friends. True. Thin Line Media. Mor means mother here in Sweden. Kasim says Robledo is the hood, but my ex was from Robledo. She was pretty sweet. But again, I've been living in Colombia for 3 years, speak Spanish, and I didn't meet her on Tinder. Exactly, Kasim. That's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. If you're here for long term, you're going to meet people from all over the city, and you'll meet people that are amazing. I know people that are amazing from La Sierra, which is a dangerous neighborhood, but they are upstanding citizens. They work. They don't rob. They don't steal. They're not part of the local gang there. They're awesome people, friendly people. I know people from Moravia too, which is could be a dangerous neighborhood as well, very low income, but they are upstanding people and they take care of their kids, etc., even though they have lower budget than most of the people in the whole country. But that doesn't mean that makes them bad. But it just takes time to meet those people. If you're here long enough, you'll meet them. But if you're here for a weekend or for a week or a month or even 3 months, it's really hard to make those real deep connections. There is a nice mirador in Robledo. Yeah, I've been there. It's great. Josh, what's up, Josh? Josh says, do you consider Santa Cruz dangerous for gringos? I don't even know where Santa Cruz is. Let's go. Let's look at it. Hold on. Let me see. Santa Cruz, Medellin. Where is that? Where is Santa Cruz? Oh, I see. Santa Cruz is... Dang, where is it? This is north. Santa Cruz, you will not find one gringo there. I could guarantee you that. That's for sure. Yeah, I don't know if it would be safe for gringos or unsafe for gringos, but why are you going there? Like, why? What would be the reason to go there? I don't understand. Yeah, there's like nothing there. I know where this is. I just didn't know it was called Santa Cruz. Let's see. What's the nearest metro station is? Let's see. Oh, Acevedo. Yeah, I mean, Tricentenario. I mean, it's. I wouldn't. Well, I'm Colombian. I wouldn't even go there because I don't know the neighborhood. I know it's near downtown, near Tricentenario and Acevedo. There's really no reason for me to go there. My girlfriend is from there visiting family on 31st. Oh, yeah, that's perfectly fine. Sorry, I didn't know the context. If you're going to your girlfriend's family's house for 31st, you'll probably have the best party that you've ever been to, by the way, in that neighborhood. Yes. So that would be, I think you would be safe there. Don't worry about that. I thought you meant just like, oh, I found an Airbnb there or a hotel and I'm going to stay there. But if it's for that reason, I think you'll be fine, especially since you're going with your girlfriend. You will not, I don't think you'll get killed there. Like, if anything, you'll get drunk and you'll be dancing all night with all her tias and her aunts and uncles and cousins and stuff. Those are the best parties, man. The 31st, New Year's Eve parties in Medellin, especially in the barrios where they're cooking outside, doing the natilla, the buñuelos, el sancocho, la marranada, the fireworks, the dancing with the speakers out in the street, the whole neighborhood's out there. Man, that's Colombia. That's something you'll never get anywhere in the United States or in Europe, really. I envy you. I wish I was going. My girlfriend's family doesn't party. They don't do that kind of stuff. Very disappointed. It's okay. I'll make up for it. Yes, I dance with the abuela all night. Exactly. See, you know what I'm talking about. So you're fine there. Yeah, you're fine. You're fine there for that situation. Okay, so finally, back to... so the number one tip that I can give to you if you're coming to Medellin in 2024 and you're a guy, and maybe some women, but mostly for guys, the biggest safety tip is don't let anyone go back to your apartment or hotel that you don't know. Don't invite or take anyone to your apartment, Airbnb, or hotel that you don't know. That's the number one tip that I can give to people coming to Medellin in 2024. I know it sounds weird to some of you that are probably watching this and are planning a trip to Medellin and have never been to Medellin, but realize that a lot of the people that do travel, and when I say people, I'm talking about men, they come here for sex. And what happens is that they pick someone up on Tinder that is a paid person in this underworld. I guess it's not so under anymore, of prostitution in Medellin, or they pick someone up off the street and they bring them back right away, or not even before they even met. The date is at their house. Like, oh, let's meet up at your house for a couple drinks. That is the number one red flag. Just delete that. If anything, report it to the police. That is my number one tip. Don't bring people back to your home. That's a surefire way to get drugged and robbed, and at the worst, get drugged, overdosed, and killed. And that's what has happened in 2023. It's the majority of the deaths did involve some sort of women coming over to somebody's house for a date and them getting drugged and overdosed and died. So don't do it. This is not the place for sex tourism, although prostitution is legal here, and it seems the government is condoning it, and you see them on the street, especially on the 4 blocks of Parque Lleras. You'll see them all out there. I don't recommend it. If you're looking for that, go to a safer country like Thailand. That's my 2 cents on that. But if you're coming here for anything other than that, you're going to be fine. Pretty much you're going to be fine. You're going to have an awesome time, Josh. I honestly do envy you because I miss those parties, man. I've had girlfriends that had some of the best families ever, man. Like, I'm not saying that my girlfriend now doesn't have, she has an amazing family. Her family is very tight-knit. They're literally at her father's finca. But they don't party, they don't dance. They just more like sit around, talk, have coffee, eat, which is also very cool. I like it, but if you know me, I like to get down, baby. So yeah, so if you're coming here for that, don't come here. I mean, period. I mean, I know that my business, the Medellin Masterclass, promotes Medellin. My channel promotes Medellin in a good light. But if you're coming here for sex tourism, don't even come here. To avoid the potential risk of dying, and don't come here. Go to another country like, you know, Thailand or somewhere else where it's a lot safer to do that. Yeah. So that's the number one tip. The next thing I want to talk about before we end the stream is reporting a crime. I'm putting this in the description of the video right now. If you are ever a victim of a crime in Colombia, you can report 2 ways. Number 1 is you can report in person by going to one of the police stations. And number 2, you could do it online through this link, report a crime. On this link, you can report a crime. It's all in Spanish, so you're going to need someone to help you if you don't speak Spanish to fill this out. But if you're ever a victim of a crime here, even extortion, because they have it on here. If you go to this, sorry, this thing played. There we go. Yeah, you can call the police. Yes, thank you, Piedad. You could call 123, which is the 911 number here is 123. But to actually physically report a crime, you need to fill out a paperwork, so you might have to do it in person, or you could go to this link right here, which is the police government page for denuncias, so that you can, if you're getting extorted, even if someone is bullying you or threatening you, you can report that all here. That's why that's one of the reasons the crime rate is higher in Colombia now, because it's easier to report a crime virtually. Before, this didn't exist. So more crimes are being reported. So obviously that is driving up the crime rate compared to other years where you weren't able to do this online. You had to physically go somewhere, and a lot of people wouldn't do it out of fear or just out of laziness. So now you can report there. Very important that you do report crimes, especially if you're a foreigner. Like Piedad said earlier, the more we report, the better security get, the more emphasis we put on security measures being taken in Medellin. Josh, as I moved to Envigado in October, and it's been great. I really appreciate this channel. It helped me motivate me to make the move and change my life. Wow. I don't even know what to say to that, Josh. I'm so happy to hear that. Thanks for the good vibes, everyone, and Happy New Year. Likewise, Josh, thank you and Happy New Year. I'm sure you're going to have a great time in Santa Cruz, now that I know that neighborhood. There are also CAIs or kiosks. Yeah, police kiosks. Yeah, place in almost every neighborhood. Yeah, and then some of those you can't. The problem is that some of those guys you can't do the report for a crime there. They'll direct you to one of the police stations. But yeah, if you do fall victim, make sure that you know. That's one of the things about being here longer term than just being here a week or 2 weeks or a month. If you're here just as a tourist to have a good time and you go out and get drunk and let's say you get robbed or someone is threatening you, do you even know where your local police station is or your local kiosk is? You don't really know that until you're in a place for a longer term. So the best thing to do is to avoid some of these pitfalls like getting drunk, getting blackout drunk, inviting strangers to your house, getting in fights, etc. So yeah, it's important. What's up, Derwin? Derwin, you're coming in late. Sorry, Derwin. We're about to end. So I'll recap the top three. The top three tips for 2024 for safety for men and for some women is number 3, don't fight back if you're getting robbed. Don't resist. Number 2, if you're using dating apps, use the head on your shoulders, not the one below the belt. And number 1, don't let anyone go back to your apartment, Airbnb, or hotel that you don't know. That's it. Top 3. Very easy. Should be easy. Logical. Common sense. But not everybody thinks that way because, again, not everybody is accustomed to what life is like in Medellin. Medellin is a beautiful place. Most people, again, 1.6 million tourists came in 2023. I think it was more. We don't know the final count, but it's probably more. I would say the majority of those people had a great time, had nothing happen to them, but we have a minority of people that did have a terrible time. They got either robbed, they got drugged, they got killed. Obviously, those people had a terrible time. And that percentage is the one that we want to focus on in order to learn from so that we can keep improving the city and also keep contributing to the city in a positive way. Thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate you guys. Whatever you guys are doing for New Year's, I know that it's going to be great, even if you're just staying home with family or alone. Whatever the case is, remember that there's somebody out there that loves you, and that person is me. Hope you guys have a happy new year. See you guys in 2024. I will be live on Wednesday, next Wednesday, which is the 3rd. That's my birthday. I'll be live on my birthday. Let's go. Also, one last thing before I go. I want this channel. I'm going to be going live the entire year, twice a week. And that is my promise to you. And I hope that I am motivation for you to keep all of your New Year's resolutions, because as we get down the line throughout the year, like I've said, my strength and my character is the fact that I'm super disciplined, and when I set my goals and set my plan, I do them. Like, I will have to be on my deathbed or dead for me not to go live twice a week. I can guarantee that. I've done it before with my with my Twitch channel, playing video games, etc. live. Now I'm doing it here, and I'm promising that every week, twice a week, I will go live, whether it's by myself or with a guest. And I hope that when you see that notification come up, it reminds you to stay on track with your own goals. And I want this to be a test of my determination and my discipline. And also it tests you and motivates you to continue with whatever it is that you plan in 2024, because I know it's going to be a great year for everyone, and I hope to see you guys in Medellin. Hasta luego, amigos.